Losing weight. Losing weight breaks down into two simple things: what you do and what you eat. We're gonna start off with the first one. Do. What does this mean? What are you doing on a day-to-day basis? Are you just sitting around all day? Are you moving? Are you active? Are you getting out there, getting your exercise in? At the most basic fundamental level, you should be moving. Simple as that. Go for a walk. Go for a run. I don't know, whatever you want to do. I personally don't like running. Like, I try to force myself to run because I know it's good for me, but I play basketball. I play basketball at least 2 times, maybe 3 times a week. Like, that is like a really good amount of cardio. I'd be burning a lot of calories when I'm doing basketball. It's like 1,300, 1,400 for 2 hours. These are just some things that you can do to get up there and move. Now, these are high cardio intense things that you do. These will get your heart rate, up there. It'll get it moving. It'll get it bumping. It'll get you in more of a position where you're burning a lot of fat. Because when your body needs fuel and you're not eating food, you're using what's stored up on your body, which is fat. And that's what most people want to lose. You're not really trying to lose your muscle. You want to make sure that you keep the muscle, but you're losing that fat. Outside of these things, there's a bunch of other things that you could be doing. You could be out there, one of the most common things, what I spend most of my time is weightlifting. Weightlifting is a great way to, still stay active, but also you're building muscle. You want to get that physique. You want to build how much strength you have and, work on that. So weightlifting is fantastic opportunity to get the best of both worlds. Obviously, outside of that, there is plenty of other things that you could be doing, like, could be doing, swimming. Swimming's a fantastic one. We'll put on, dance, yoga. You get the idea. You know what I'm talking about. You understand the different activities that I'm talking about that you could be doing on a day-to-day basis. You don't need much equipment. You don't need much, instruction or knowledge. You can just go out there and do something. As a kid, most of us were put in some sort of activity, some sort of sports, maybe karate, maybe dance, cheer, something like that, or some sort of sport, football, basketball, baseball, whatever it is. Just find your passion for that. Bring that back. I don't know why you would have to stop that once you, get up to an older age. One excuse that I hear a lot is people say they're busy. At my job, there was somebody that said, after I finish my work day, I have no energy. I don't have that motivation to go hit the gym. When you think about that and you're saying that you don't have energy as, an early 20-year-old saying that you can't go to the gym afterwards, think about how it's gonna be when you're 60, 70. You're gonna be walking around in a cane or in a wheelchair because you didn't put in the steps to make sure that your health is set now. My favorite story and the thing that kind of motivates me to stay in shape is a family friend that we know. His name's Tom. And Tom is, an elderly man. He's, up there, I believe he's turned 68 this year, but he's out here biking 50 miles a day casually. I just climbed the Willis Tower. That's 103 flights of stairs that we climbed. And, he cooked me. He beat me by like 8 minutes in the amount of time. And, he's, triple my age. So props to him. He keeps me looking forward, thinking like, man, I need to stay in shape. I need to make sure that I'm still staying active. I'm doing things so that when I get into my older, years, I still want to be mobile. I want to be agile. I want to be able to go do things. I don't want to be, rested in a chair and not being able to move. Outside of just the normal thing that people think about when you're doing and exercising is just standing up. Whenever you're working, like if you work at a job where you're always sitting in your chair in front of your computer screen, try to make it a habit to stand up, move around a little bit, pace back and forth, just to get the blood flow going, just to get, your mind activated again. Because once you sit down in that chair, you could be sitting there for the next 8 hours, don't even think about standing up, and it's like, that's not helping your health either. It's gonna make it even worse. That could lead to blood clots, it could lead to other issues. You wanna just make sure that as much as possible, you're standing, moving around. Standing desks are a fantastic thing. My office in the city has them. I'm always standing when I have the opportunity to do so. The one issue with the doing part of losing weight is the fact that you have to, spend energy to do things. You have to make sure to, consciously decide that you're going to go do something and go out of your way to, move or something like that. So some people use that as an excuse to why they don't need to be doing that, why they can't, why they don't have time, they don't have the energy. And, it's like, I get it. You have to do extra. But if you're thinking about yourself and you're thinking about who you want to be, it's worth it. And it really isn't that big of a commitment. On the other hand, what you eat is a much easier thing to control. Because realistically, I was talking to somebody about this. I said that bulking was easier for me than cutting was because, like, I'm a bigger guy. I like to eat. I enjoy food. And then he hit me with this conversation. It's like, if you're bulking, you eat your meal and you're still, not at your calorie goal. You have to make more food, buy more food, spend money, prepare it, cook it. It's a whole process. Whereas if you're cutting, it's just don't eat. You just don't have to do anything, you just don't eat. The other half of the equation is a little bit more complicated because we all need to eat. And eating is such a complex idea with all the foods that have, all these chemicals, GMO, artificial flavoring, processing. It's hard in today's society to be able to eat clean unless you're doing it consciously. The thing with calories and how much food you eat in a day is that it's not the same for everybody. It all depends on your height, your weight, how much activity you're doing, your gender. Like me as a man, 22 years old, I'm 6'2", I'm very active. My maintenance, or basically just even, is just break even. That's how much I would need to eat so I wouldn't lose or gain weight. So basically it's saying that how much energy my body uses in a day is how much I consume. Basically it is like eat versus burn is basically how you break it down. And for me, mine is roughly around 3,000, depending on if I'm cutting or if I'm bulking, how much calories, how much activity I'm doing, if I'm in basketball season or not. But it's around 300. I'd say I put it like good range for me is 2,900 to like 3,200 calories. If you want to figure it out, go online, just search up a calorie calculator. It'll ask you like 5 questions. It'll give you a range. But the typical male will probably need to eat around 2,600 to 3,000. For females, I believe it's like 2,000 to 2,500. I'm not too sure on that female ones. This is basically roughly an estimate of how many calories you should be consuming on a day-to-day basis. Now, obviously, this is where the losing weight comes into play. Activity is great, but if you're eating, if you're eating 3,600 calories per day, and say your maintenance is 2,900, you're at a 700 calorie surplus. Simple as that, you're gonna be gaining weight. And unless you're doing that strategically and on purpose, it's gonna be going to fat. It's basically gonna go to fat. Because unless you're lifting weights or doing some sort of activity, there's nothing that your body's not burning that much energy that it needs that. So it's gonna store it as a layer of fat so it can use it in the future. Worst case scenario, it needs to come to that where it's like, say you don't eat that day, it's gonna burn off fat. That's how it breaks down. Your body takes what's there and it uses that to make sure that your organs, your brain, everything still processes and functions the way that it has to. So now that you understand how fat and your body kind of stores on there, how that works, we're gonna break down the percentages and go from there and show you what the range is. So body fat goes down into a percentage. Basically what percentage of your weight is fat versus what is, other essential stuff. So here's the basic breakdown. Less than 5%, you're probably a bodybuilder going to get ready for a show, something like that. 5 to 10%, you're probably an athlete, somebody that's in the gym consistently, runner, something like that. 10 to 15, you're still pretty lean, you eat well, you're exercising a lot, it's not as defined as the 5 to 10%. The 15 to 20%, I would say that's probably the average person. That's how much you fall into. I would say I probably fall into the 15 to 20%, probably say I'm somewhere around like 17% body fat, maybe up to 19. Over 25% is where you want to start getting a little concerned. Like over 25%, you should have some red flags. You'll be able to notice that you have some additional mass, that you could change something. That's where you get the red flags. Your mind's going like, oh, I got to change something. What the hell's going on? What's happening? There's some issues in your diet or that you're not exercising enough or a combination of both. From this, it's hard to get the exact measurement. You could go to a gym, they have you hold this metal thing, it sends a signal through your system, calculates the time, and it'll tell you how much fat's in your body. You could do like water displacement, go from that way as well. There's a bunch of different ways they can test your blood. But that's how you find out how much percentage, body fat percentage you have. And then from there, you estimate what your weight is, how many pounds do you weigh, body fat percentage, because you could weigh 200 pounds, be like 10% body fat, and that's not an issue. Like that would be the dream for me. If I could do this, I would be the dream for me. Because you got great muscle, you have a lot of muscle, you're not that much fat on you, and you look really great, you're strong, you're in great health. Now, staying in that like 10 to 20% range, you kind of want to stay in that 10 to 20% range for body fat. That's what I would recommend for most, average people that aren't trying to go too crazy. But how do we get there? So for me, how do I get from 3,200 calories and I'm at 216 pounds. I'm trying to get to 200 pounds. What do I do? Like what's the missing solution? So It's a simple solution here. If I'm eating 3,200 calories, I need 3,200 calories, but I want to lose fat. And we know that fat has calories stored up. We're going to eat less calories. Right now, I'm kind of trying to shoot for around 20, I would say like 2,400 calories. That's the goal that I'm going for right now. What does that mean? So at a negative 800 calories, if we take that and multiply that by 7, 5,600 calories, negative 5,600 calories. With negative 5,600 calories in a week, a pound of fat usually has around 3,400, 3,700 calories. It depends on how much, how your body's working, but that's the number. So with that, you're losing about 1.25 to 1.5, 1.25 to 1.5 pounds a week. It's how much you're burning just by eating 800 less calories a day. In one day, obviously, it doesn't seem like much. 800 over, that's 0.3 pounds a day. In a day, that doesn't do much. You're not gonna notice that. You will not be able to see visual results from losing 0.3 pounds a day. But when you do, let's say, we'll go with 1.25 on the lower scale. We'll go with 1.25. 1.25 pounds a week. Now, timeline, you have to have the right timeline. It has to have enough time for your body to adjust, for you to get into the rhythm, for you to get the results, and for you to stay consistent to the process. When I do my cuts, some of the extreme cuts I've done, I've lost 50 pounds in 5 months. Now that's 10 pounds a month, usually that's like pounds a week. Let's say you're trying to lose 20 pounds. What are you gonna do? You're gonna do 20 by 1.25, it's roughly around 16. 16 weeks. What is 16 weeks? 3 months. Roughly 3 months. Roughly 3 months. Can you stay consistent for 3 months to lose 20 pounds? Can you think about how differently you would look if you lost 20 pounds? Me, for example, I started at 230 and I'm already down to, what did I say, 216? Yeah, I'm at 216, I'm 216.8 or whatever. So that's already down 13.2 pounds. What is this, like 6%? My weight has changed by 6%. If say you're somebody that weighs, 200, you lose 20 pounds, you drop by 10%. Think about that. You would look completely different. You would be transformed from what you looked as you started. What I'm trying to get at is that it's pretty simple. I just wanted to break down the math for you on why and how to lose weight, because some people kind of make it so complicated. They're like, I don't have time to exercise. All right, well, you don't have to exercise. You can just, watch what you're eating, watch your diet. Well, I do eat pretty healthy. That's another point. Let's get to that point. Eating healthy does not mean you're going to lose weight. I think that's one of the biggest misconceptions in the nutrition and the fitness industry, that eating healthy, eating, broccoli, grilled chicken, that these will make you lose weight. And that's not it. That is not all that goes into it. Because you could be eating everything we just did with the calories. You could be eating, let's say you're eating 2,000 calories of chicken. That's a lot of chicken to eat, but realistically, you can still do that. You can eat 2,000 calories of chicken, and then let's say, you're eating 1,500 calories of rice. You're at 3,500 calories, which is greater than the 3,200 that your maintenance needs. So in that case, you're still gaining 300 calories of weight. That's one thing that really most people need to understand. It's not what you eat, it's not what you eat, it's how much. You can sit there and eat salad and, eat a bunch of rice, chicken and rice, but if you're eating more than your body is burning in a day, you're still going to be gaining weight. And that's what you need to understand. Portioning or meal prepping is what will help you lose the weight you need in the kitchen. There was a study that said people always underestimate how many calories are in there and always overestimate how much protein is in something. If you're somebody that lifts weights, you're gonna overestimate. You're gonna be like, oh, this little piece of chicken has, let's say 30 grams of protein and it's only 110 calories. That's because that's what you want it to be. Realistically, that's not happening. That's not gonna happen. It probably, if you eat like a decently sized piece of chicken, you might get 30 grams of protein, but it'll be probably what, 400 calories. That's not exact, but somewhere right around that range. People always underestimate or, misinterpret the value of the food they're eating. So you want to make sure, if you're really serious about losing weight and getting to the physique that you want to look at, you gotta get really serious and break down what it looks like to you. For me, as somebody that's cutting right now, trying to lose weight, as I mentioned, I know my portions, I know what I'm eating. I'm eating egg whites. Egg whites, I can tell you right now, 5 grams protein within 25 calories. It's a 5-to-1 ratio. Fantastic. That's like one of the best ratios you will find in food. Almond milk, 30 calories, has 1 gram of protein. It's just making sure you know what you're eating and how much you're eating. The easiest way for the average individual, if you're somebody that eats fast food, isn't somebody that cooks at home, is to cut out processed foods. These things are killing you, whatever, etc. The list goes on. There is plenty of foods that are so common in our day-to-day lives that can be easily just cut out and change your future health significantly like that. If you're somebody that goes to a restaurant, restaurants, depending on what restaurant you go to, they give you some decently sized portions, especially here in the States. We're gonna do a little plate. This is Olive Garden. I know that a chicken Alfredo from Olive Garden has a roughly 1,600 calories. When you break that down, your one meal here, just that plate, is already, half of your daily intake of calories you need. Think about the breadsticks. Those Olive Garden breadsticks are gas. I'm eating at least two. You throw in the, whatever, you get a super salad. It's another, okay, with these two combined, that's another, let's say, 400 to 600 calories. Let's go on the low side. You're already at 2,000 out of your 3,200. Let's say you've got a Coke to drink. Add another 200 calories. You're at 22 out of 3,200 calories from one meal. Let's say you went for dinner. You still have breakfast and lunch. You're leaving yourself 1,000 calories for 2 meals. Where in the other situation, if you go out to a restaurant, you can break this plate in half and say now you got yourself 800 calories plus the 200 Coke plus, the whatever, 400. You're at 1,400 out of 3,200. Plus, you've got a meal to go. You got another meal for another day that you don't have to cook, and you still have 1,800 calories for the rest of the day. Cutting your plate and understanding how much you really truly need to eat and being consistent to your process is gonna help you change everything and make the entire, weight loss journey a much easier path. Obviously, the first couple of days, the first couple of weeks aren't fun. Your stomach's gonna rumble a little, you might be hungry, but you gotta push through that, because once you push through that, it gets easier. Your digestion and your stomach adapt, and they're not as hungry. I'll just say that. They're not as hungry, they're not as demanding for more food, because your body's, getting used to the smaller caloric intake. At the end of the day, if you wanna lose weight, you need to move more, eat smart. These two things will help you change your weight loss journey significantly. It'll help you change your physique dramatically. You just have to stay committed to it. You have to make sure you have a long enough time frame. I suggest giving yourself probably roughly around, depends how significant you want it to be, but 3 to 6 months. The results you can see in 3 to 6 months are spectacular. I mean, I've done it. If you haven't seen it, check my page. I mean, I've lost 50 pounds in 5 months. I've lost 30 pounds in 4 months. I've done the weight loss journey a couple of times. You just have to stay consistent. And you have to make sure you follow your rules. This will make sure that you can get to the goal that you want. You'll get the physique you want, that you want to feel better. You got to do this, but most importantly, subscribe.